Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm the face of this channel. In this episode, we're going to talk about a young woman whose mother decided to slip a strange substance into her glass of wine. She immediately noticed a weird smell and decided to take action. What exactly happened? You'll find out in this episode. While you listen, you can enjoy a selection of nature footage. Enjoy the show.
The story will be told from the perspective of the main female character.
My name is Britney Hayes. I was supposed to die the evening of my engagement celebration. Everything seemed flawless from the outside. Fairy lights twinkled overhead. Guests cheered, raising champagne flutes. My fiancé, Ethan Lewis, stood right next to me. My mother, Victoria, made sure the event was impeccable. Every small detail, from the music to the catering, was controlled by her. Her need for perfection always came with a heavy cost. I was standing near the bar, offering a polite chuckle to a guest's comment. That is when my mother approached. She held 2 glasses of red wine, smiling broadly. "For the future bride," she announced, handing me one. The instant I lifted the glass, I sensed trouble. It did not smell spoiled, but rather had a harsh, medicinal odor like strong chemicals. My gut reaction was immediate nausea. Then my younger sister, Chloe, moved to grab her drink. I quickly exchanged the glasses before she could. "You first," I joked, keeping my expression light, pretending this was a game. 30 minutes later, my sister fell down. That scene instantly shattered my reality. This was bigger than the tainted drink. It exposed the years of manipulation and hidden cruelties I had tried to ignore. I understood that night that my mother's goal was not merely a successful party. She had intended to destroy me. I decided then that I would finally fight back. I woke up feeling anxious that morning. Mom had been awake since sunrise. She ran the show, directing all the minor arrangements. She inspected the flowers, obsessed over where everyone would sit, and gave orders to the catering staff like an army commander. I observed her from the landing, drinking my coffee. I couldn't understand how someone so deeply in charge of everything could still make me feel so insignificant. When my fiancé arrived, he gave me a quick kiss. He whispered for me to relax. "It's just a party," he said. He had no idea how my mother operated. People started arriving around 6 o'clock. The house in Greenwood, Connecticut was bright with candlelight. The air smelled strongly of lilacs. Guests chatted politely about future honeymoons and wedding plans, but I felt like I was watching a stage play. My mother directed every single scene. My best friend, Jenna, had called that morning canceling due to an urgent matter. I intuitively knew my mother was somehow involved. Then the moment arrived. I was deep in conversation with my fiancé's aunt regarding wedding cake options. My mother appeared directly behind me. She was balancing 2 glasses of red wine. "For the bride-to-be," she cooed. I accepted the glass, feeling the cool stem. I brought it up to my nose. That's when I noticed the odor. It wasn't a bad wine smell. It was faint, almost like perfume, but with a terrible chemical edge that made me instantly alert. For a moment, I froze in place. My sister slid up beside me, her face glowing with happiness. "Cheers, future Mrs. Lewis," she giggled, reaching for my glass. Without a moment of conscious thought, I switched our drinks. I laughed, acting like it was just a silly joke. "Ladies first," I told her with a fake smile. My sister took a generous sip. The room erupted 30 minutes later. I heard someone scream my sister's name. Chairs scraped back, glasses tumbled. Voices rose in panicked shouts. When I spun around, she was near the bar, staggering. Her skin was white and her body folded up as though someone had cut her strings. I sprinted to her side, my heart pounding loudly. Mom was already there when I reached her. She was kneeling like a worried parent. "She probably hasn't had enough to eat today," my mother said calmly, dabbing my sister's forehead with a napkin. I saw it clearly then, a fleeting look in her eyes, the tight set of her jaw. This was not fear. It was pure calculation. The emergency medical services arrived. My sister was rushed to the hospital. Mom handled the remaining crowd with absolute composure. She assured everyone it was just anxiety or dehydration. I went through the necessary motions, thanking people and hugging my relatives. I listened to my fiancé promising me that everything would be fine, but internally I had completely broken. That evening, I stayed in the shower until my skin was raw and red. I washed until the scent of the party wine was gone from my body, but the memory stayed with me. I kept thinking about how quickly I had passed the tainted glass to my sister, how easily the lie had come out. I realized how close I had been to disappearing completely after one simple drink. Lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, questions started to flood my mind. Why had my friend Jenna canceled at the very last minute? Why did Mom insist on planning every single detail, excluding my own friends, and keeping the event restricted entirely to her world? Most importantly, what exactly was in that wine? I did not sleep at all that night. When the sun came up, I knew I needed answers. I drove to the hospital the next morning. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. My sister was still unconscious when I got there. She looked pale against the white bedding. A soft beeping monitored her vital signs. My fiancé stood by the window, his face was etched with concern. "She is stable now," he murmured. "They are running tests, but they can't figure out the cause." I nodded, hardly listening. My attention was fixed on my sister's face. The thought of that wine glass was screaming in my mind. I could still remember the specific weight of it in my hand, and the bitter chemical smell filling my lungs. I stepped into the corridor and my phone vibrated. It was a text from Ethan. "We need to talk." We met up at a small coffee shop near the hospital. He looked exhausted. He ran a hand over his hair as I sat down. "There's something I should tell you," he began quietly. "I should have said something sooner. 3 days before the party, your mother asked to meet me." I just stared at him. Why would she do that? She claimed it was about organizing things, the seating, the guest list, the usual stuff. But then she offered me money. The words hit my stomach like a punch. She offered me $250,000. She said I wasn't stable enough for you. She even threatened to dig into my history, mentioning the old lawsuit I had years ago. She wanted me to leave you quietly. I sat frozen, clenching my fists. "Why didn't you tell me any of this?" "I didn't want to ruin the party," he admitted. "You were already so stressed out." I leaned back in my chair, trying to catch my breath. This wasn't just about my sister or the incident. Mom had been preparing the ground for this for months, perhaps years, slowly pushing people away and removing anyone who might challenge her. That afternoon, I called the event location. My voice trembled as I inquired about the security video footage. The manager promised to check for it. Meanwhile, I reviewed old messages and emails. I was starting to realize the full extent of my mother's influence. Next, I called Jenna. "Why did you truly cancel?" I asked, skipping any small talk. There was a long pause. "Your mother called me," she admitted. "She said you were overwhelmed and that I should give you space. I didn't want to make things harder for you." I closed my eyes as the horrible puzzle pieces started clicking into place. Later that evening, I walked through the house where I grew up. Mom was out at the moment. The place had its usual scent of lavender and lemon cleaner, but the air felt heavy now, filled with tension. I went into the bathroom. Tucked behind some face lotions and vitamins, I found several orange prescription bottles. They were all in my mother's name. There were 3 of them, each from a different date and pharmacy. The labels read alprazolam, diazepam, and cyclopram. My heart hammered in my chest. When I stepped outside, Mr. Harrison, our neighbor, called me over. "I wasn't going to mention anything," he mumbled, "but I saw your mother that night of the party. She was outside by the alley. She was wearing gloves and pouring some kind of liquid down the drain. It definitely didn't look like wine." I thanked him quickly, my pulse racing, and rushed back inside. That same night, an old name appeared on my phone's screen, Marcus. He was my college boyfriend. "I heard about your sister, Chloe," he said. "I need you to know something about why we broke up." He explained that he never cheated on me. My mother had hired someone to follow him. She got photos and twisted the truth to make him look bad. She even called his residency director. She claimed he was mentally unstable. "I lost my entire career because of her," he told me. My world completely fell apart right then. By midnight, I was sitting on the floor of my apartment. I had spread out old diaries, notes, and photos everywhere. I found an old notebook belonging to my sister. One torn sheet stopped me cold. She had written, "I think Mom is reading my emails. She knows stuff I never told her." My hands were shaking as I closed the book. This wasn't just about my sister, the party, or even my fiancé. This was a pattern of behavior. I realized I finally had to stop her. 2 days later, the manager from the venue called back. "We have the security tape," he said. "You need to see this." My grip tightened on the steering wheel as I drove over there. My hands were sore from clenching them so hard. In a small, dimly lit back office, the manager played the video. The picture was grainy, but it showed everything clearly. There was my mother, calm and precise. She set 2 wine glasses on the counter. She pulled a tiny dropper bottle from her purse. She carefully squeezed a few drops into one of the glasses. She used a small spoon to stir the liquid, wiped the spoon clean, and put the bottle back in her bag. She checked her reflection in the microwave door and smiled. My stomach turned instantly. The manager gave me a silent, understanding look. "Do you want a copy?" he asked. I nodded. Holding the flash drive, I drove directly to Jenna's apartment. We watched the clip together. The silence between us was heavy and awful. When the recording finished, Jenna let out a ragged sigh. "Britney, you were right about her." I barely slept that night. I kept searching for more proof. I went back to my parents' house while Mom was gone. I searched the master bathroom again. I found the same 3 pill bottles. This time they were lined up neatly in the medicine cabinet. I quickly took pictures, my hands trembling, then put everything back exactly how I found it. As I left the house, Mr. Harrison waved me over again. "I wrote down what I saw just in case," he said, handing me a folded note. His words were simple but condemning. "Saw Victoria in alley, rubber gloves, brown bottle, poured liquid down drain, looked like chemical disposal. Lab background." I thanked him and left, feeling the weight of the evidence crushing me. That night, my phone buzzed with Marcus's name. We met at a quiet local cafe where nobody paid attention to us. "I almost didn't contact you," Marcus confessed. "But when I heard about your sister, everything came back." He confirmed that my mother ruined our relationship. She set up the photos, lied to me, and even tried to destroy his career. "I tried to reach you, but she made sure I couldn't," he finished. I felt a painful constriction in my chest. When I arrived home, my sister was waiting on the couch. She was still pale from the hospital, wrapped in a blanket. She gave me a long, studying look. "In college," she began softly, "I was in love with someone. Mom found out about her. She called her parents and threatened them." She explained that Mom pulled her out of school and forced her into therapy. "She sat in on the sessions, Britney. She completely rewrote my life, calling it love." My throat tightened up. We sat side by side in the quiet house. The burden of all those years pressed down on us. I understood then that this control was not limited to me. It had always affected us all. Mom's control acted like invisible wires, forcing us into position, silencing us, breaking us slowly. But now we had names and facts and proof. I was done staying silent. I spent 2 nights without sleeping, preparing for the necessary confrontation. My hands shook as I typed the group message. "Dinner at my place. It's important. Please come." My fiancé arrived first. He carried a bottle of wine, unsure if this was supposed to be a happy occasion or a serious meeting. My sister came next. She was pale but steady. Jenna held her hand as they walked across the threshold. Marcus entered quietly, scanning the room before sitting down. And then my mother, Victoria, arrived. She swept in like royalty, pearls around her neck, carrying a tray of lemon bars. She wore her polished, perfect smile. "Britney, darling," she cooed, kissing my cheek. "I'm so happy we can all be together." The air around the table was incredibly tight. I served the meal in silence. I waited until everyone had food and conversation began to stir. Then I stood up. My heart was pounding, feeling like it would rattle out of my ribs. "There is something we must talk about," I announced. My voice was surprisingly calm. I walked over to the TV. I plugged in the flash drive and pressed play. The security video came on. It showed Mom in the kitchen during the party. She carefully uncapped the dropper, stirred the glass, and then checked her hair in the microwave reflection, smiling. No one made a sound. My sister gasped softly. My fiancé's fork clattered onto his plate. Jenna's hands balled into fists under the table. Marcus simply watched, jaw tight. Mom didn't even blink. Next, I showed them the pictures of the pill bottles and the neighbor's handwritten evidence. Finally, I turned to face her. "You tried to poison me," I stated. "My sister drank the glass that was meant for me. and you kept smiling through the whole thing." My mother's voice remained smooth and controlled. "This is ridiculous, Britney. You are always so dramatic. You've never been grateful for all my sacrifices." "Stop," I said sharply. "Not this time." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "I was protecting you from yourself, from another disaster, another failed marriage. You blame on me." My sister's voice cut through the tension like breaking glass. "Did you know I was pregnant that night?" Mom opened her mouth, then closed it again. "You knew," my sister whispered, shaking, "and you still allowed me to drink it." For one brief moment, my mother's composure failed. The entire room held its breath. "You don't understand," she hissed. "I did what was necessary." But nobody at the table supported her anymore. That night, after everyone had left, I sat on the floor with my back against the couch. The silence hummed in my ears. Mom had departed in a flurry of sharp words and slammed doors. For the first time, her absence felt like freedom. I realized this whole ordeal was not just about getting justice or collecting proof. It was about taking back my life, one small piece at a time. I knew that no matter what happened next, I would never allow her to have that power over me again. In the weeks that followed, my mother's silence was deafening. No calls, no texts, no unexpected visits, just a heavy stillness settled over everything. The rumors quietly spread through our community. Mom stopped appearing at social luncheons and charity events. Even her closest acquaintances drifted away, unsure how to address the situation. For the first time in my life, she was not the center of attention, and she hated it. Meanwhile, my sister began her recovery. She started seeing a therapist and reconnected with old friends. She was finally standing on her own 2 feet. One afternoon, as we sat on her porch, she offered me a soft smile. "I finally feel like I can take a full breath," she said. Jenna's podcast episode detailing our story, which she titled The Poison in the Punch Bowl, reached thousands of listeners. Messages poured in from people who had endured their own quiet battles at home. My fiancé and I wanted something simple, far away from my mother's influence. We held a small wedding at a nearby vineyard. Only 10 guests, no drama, just us, vowing to choose each other every single day. As for me, I dedicated myself to a photography project called Unspoken. It captured portraits of people who had finally broken free from harmful family relationships. The gallery show was well attended. One comment in the guest book stuck with me. "You showed me that love should never require me to be silent." Months later, a letter arrived with no return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. It contained 4 words: "You embarrassed this family." I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I lit a match and watched the paper curl and blacken over the sink, turning the past into ash. That night, I stood in the nursery my fiancé and I were preparing. I rested my hand on the quiet flutter of the life growing inside me. "You will never have to earn my love," I whispered. I felt free for the first time in a very long time. For years, I mistook my mother's control for genuine protection. I believed her constant supervision, her sharp comments, and her hidden sabotage were just how mothers showed affection. It took one glass of wine, one acrid scent in the air to wake me up. That night at the party didn't just save my life. It saved the pieces of myself I nearly lost. My brave sister, Chloe, found her true voice. My loyal friend, Jenna, helped share the truth with the world. My partner, Ethan, stood by me when everything collapsed. And I learned that peace doesn't come from defeating someone like Mom. It comes from walking away and creating something strong with the people who stay. We were married at a quiet vineyard. No audience, no drama, just true love. My sister rebuilt her life. Jenna inspired others to speak out. And my mother. She simply faded into the background. Her silence now felt louder than any apology she never gave. Sometimes I wonder if she has any regrets. But then I remind myself that it no longer matters. Because ultimately, I chose freedom. As I stand here now in the nursery, my hand on my belly, I whisper a promise. You will never have to prove yourself worthy of love. And for me, and for all of us, that is truly enough.